Okay, let's start the commissioners' meeting with the pledge, please. Okay, good morning to the weekly commissioners meeting back on Tuesday mornings. Last week was on Wednesday. Madam Auditor, minutes and claims, please.
I believe you should have all had a chance to review the minutes from May 10th, 2023. That's what's in front of you for your approval today.
Move to approve.
Second.
All by aye?
Aye.
You also have the claim docket for May 6th, 2023 through May 12th, 2023 in the amount of $3,308,500.03 for your approval today.
Questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All by aye?
Aye.
Approved. Okay,
Final docket would be the payroll docket for May 10th, 2023 in the amount of $1,194,042.51 for your approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
all by aye? Approved.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item is the scanners. Contract to, is this both of them in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Clinkenbeard, do you want to explain it?
Yeah, I don't have anything in front of me, but basically, we are purchasing two bag scanners, one to replace one in Juvenile Justice Center for the courtroom, and one will be out here in the northeast lobby. That's just to help with security for our employees and our customers. The amount is $40,614.
Been much comment and much research on this. We appreciate it, Commissioner Clinkenbeard. Any other comment?
Make a motion to approve the purchase and contract.
Second.
All by aye?
Aye.
Okay. All right, at this time, any comments from the public? Now, we will have a area planning meeting when we recess this meeting, so we will have comment at that time on anything on the area planning. So any comment about any other items dealing with the county or anything like that? Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is John Cross. I'm an attorney for the Roman Catholic Archdiocese Properties Division. My address is 13 North State Street, Suite 241, Greenfield, Indiana 46140. And I am here this morning with a request on behalf of the Archdiocese. Back in 2016, the Archdiocese and the Board of Commissioners of Vigo County entered into a real property donation agreement related to a small parcel located on Sampson Road, just west of Wabash, south of US 40, whereby the Archdiocese donated this parcel to the commissioners, subject to a couple terms such as obtaining a title commitment, doing some simple due diligence, and then putting a publication of recognition, and then recording the deed, which we don't believe any of that was ever completed. And so since then, and more recently, the Archdiocese and the Parks Department of Vigo County have been in discussions for the Archdiocese to donate the same parcel, not to the commissioners, but now to the Parks Department. So what I'm here today is to request an acknowledgement, if there's an agreement, an acknowledgement to void that prior donation agreement, which would be irrevocable. And I believe somebody from the Parks Department could be here as well, but I did bring copies of the prior donation agreement back in 2016, so I don't even know if this is something that anyone here was a part of back then or not. But I do have copies of that agreement and then a simple form of an acknowledgement that I'd be happy to leave with the commissioners or answer any questions about it. But it is just a request that we can rescind that so we can just donate it to the Parks Department, who I believe does want it.
No. Adam, is there anything you want to talk about with it, or?
Thank you for coming, appreciate it. No, we had contacted the Roman Catholic Archdiocese about the LWCF process. Bicentennial Park, trying to acquire property, build trails, shelters, things of that nature. When we had asked about it, there'd been something started, but we don't think it was ever recorded, nothing ever moved on. I said, well, for this grant and our purposes, it'd be better if that property just went into our board's name so we can incorporate it into this park and into this grant.
Hey, this is over here, right over here on the west side of the river.
Right, yep.
Okay, that's, yeah. Okay, this is part of the continuing process with Parks Department, Vigo County.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Adam, I got a question for you.
Yep.
Is that microphone on?
It is.
Okay. I don't hear so well, and I was not hearing very well. Okay.
I would personally feel more comfortable if we could let our attorney look at that before we do anything and acknowledge it.
Oh, yeah.
So if you could give your information to Tammy in that purple right there, and then we'll have Terry take a look at it, and then maybe next week or sometime this week.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. As usual, thank you, Adam. So is there any other public comment? Having none, any comments from commissioners or other elected officials? Mr. Garner?
Kevin Gardner, County Assessor. This is basically just a public announcement to state that we did send out notice of assessments, which is a Form 11, went out on April 28th. By statute, we had to have them out by May 1st. If you haven't received that and you would like a copy, then you can notify our office and we'll get you another copy, because we did have a lot that come back in the mail that say no forwarding, invalid address, things like that. So if you do want a copy, because this is what your property taxes will be based on for 23 payable 24. So if you don't file an appeal by June the 15th, then it's too late and you're stuck with that valuation. So if you haven't got a copy, notify our office and we'll get you one. Thank you.
Okay, just come into your office to file the appeals by the 15th. Okay.
Commissioner Morris, we were supposed to take action on an emergency action plan this morning, but there are still some departments that have not turned in all their information to Norm Loudermilk. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 departments, 5 departments here at this meeting, but it's important, 6 departments, that you turn in that information, 7, so we can complete this and be done and move on with it, so.
Well, it is pretty comprehensive. It was a good, it's taken a lot of time. So another week here to get that information gathered and compiled accurately. It's certainly. Kara?
Gotta come to the microphone.
Kara Wright?
Kara Wright, HR Director. Is it by zone or is it by department?
Well,
That's
it's
what
by
I-
zone.
So they need to get with
Zone.
somebody in their zone and get something. I just didn't want every department throwing in stuff if that's not what you wanted.
Correct, thank you, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, it's a little different. We'll get it put together and compiled and have some questions and make sure that it's accurate when we adopt it. All right. Okay. Commissioners?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, sir.
I have questions concerning the burn off we're talking about at the coal mine situation. Can we discuss that now or is that another time?
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess, and then we're gonna go right into an area plan meeting right after that, and that's when we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
So this will be after the area plan.
Nope.
Well, we will have,
The area planning will be after this in 5 minutes, yes.
yes. Okay? Yes, you will get a chance to speak. This is our weekly commissioners meeting, so you're welcome anytime, many of you, at 9 o'clock on Tuesdays mornings. If it's roads or flooding or anything like that, and present your questions at that time. So, okay, this time, having no other comment, we will recess for 5 minutes. And we will reconvene as the Commissioners Area or Zoning Board, okay? think we're ready. Recorder's ready. We're ready to start our zoning or area planning.
Okay. Good morning, gentlemen. Mr. Kitten, we have 3 items for your review today. 2 zoning ordinances and then 2 Senate bills to consider. I'll start with the 2 rezoning ordinances, and since these are similar in nature, I'll just mention the individual locations and then give you an overview since, again, they are similar. They were UZOs number 5 and 6 of 2023. In both cases, the petitioners were Key Rock Energy. The locations were different. One was 2982 Lower Sanford Road, and the other one was vacant ground, 80 acres, and we do have a parcel number that would correspond with that. Both are in West Terre Haute. For both cases, the current zoning is agricultural. The proposed zoning is an A1 mining overlay district for gas drilling and extraction site. The uses surrounding are mostly agricultural. There is some scattered residential around the area. The comprehensive plan calls for these areas to be preserved for agricultural uses and existing rural residential. The petitioned properties are on large acre tracts. We do feel that the extraction of minerals should occur on large-scale acreage tracts to decrease impacts on surrounding neighborhoods. Road cut permits may be needed at either location. We offered a favorable recommendation on both UZOs, and there were remonstrators present. On both instances, the Area Plan Commission forwarded no recommendation to you. That may be a little confusing. There was an initial vote for a favorable recommendation. It did not pass, so they moved to no recommendation, and that's what they then forwarded to you on both of these cases.
All right. So, picking up zoning on both these properties?
That's correct.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Richard Shagler. I'm with the law firm of Wright, Shagler & Lowry. And today I'm here on behalf of Key Rock Energy. As Jared said, they're asking for 2 parcels to be rezoned to allow for the extraction of methane. At their A-Plan meeting, there were several people there in attendance who were not welcoming of this. After a pretty good discussion, as Jared said, the council voted, and then ultimately it passed on to you for no recommendation. I'm here today. One thing I learned at that meeting, 2 individuals from Key Rock were there. They gave a presentation to the area plan. Unfortunately, the people in the audience weren't able to see what they were presenting. There seems to be some information about this process. As a result, I'm staying here today asking that these 2 rezonings, 5 and 6, be tabled. It is Key Rock's intention to invite the adjoining landowners to a public hearing, public session, where then they can present more additional information in response to some of the topics that were brought up by the various residents. So again, I guess a long-winded request for this to be tabled. I appreciate your consideration.
Okay. Any questions of council?
Commissioner Morris, before we take action on tabling it, Mr. Shadley, if it's okay with you, there are some people here that took some time away from work to talk about this. We can go ahead and take a motion, or make a motion to table it right now, and then hear comments, or we can hear comments and then table it, whatever you guys want to do. But I'd like for at least most of these people to have their time to say a few things.
Excellent. Okay. Okay.
So typically what we do is you guys have 3 minutes to speak. Please be kind to each other. This is just a civil conversation. Obviously, most likely, I would say we're going to table this until next month, and hopefully this company reaches out to all of you and talks to you about what they want to do. So If you do come up to the podium, state your name, give us your address, and try to keep your time to 3 minutes or less, so we can get everybody in and out of here. So whoever would like to come first.
Good morning. I'm Gerald Hargis, 7280 West Lieber Avenue, West Charlotte, Indiana. I live about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile from one of the sites, the 80-acre plot that has an existing well on it. I'd like to ask that in the case of tabling this decision, that the commissioners attend any meetings that are conducted. I request that of you if you can. And I'd also like to ask you to address the question of whether the well that is in place was legally permitted or is legally permitted now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hargis.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Rick Stevens. I live out there in the area. I have been for like 29 years, and I sent an email to Mr. Schweitzer. I think he probably forwarded it to all of you. And I appreciate you being here today to hear our concerns, because really, to me, it's like, here we go again. And I'll just read some of this. We're concerned about the neighbors, the animal life we have in that area. Many of you were probably not even aware that this type of extraction was tried before in 2002 with a company called Engelhard. At that time, when we became aware of the situation that Charlie Lee was trying to have this accomplished all behind the neighbor's back, we all rallied together, and Karen Weir and Claire Thorson went to Kentucky to check out the machinery, and was appalled by the sound of the system, and was very noisy and very distracting appearance that would not enhance the appearance of our neighborhood. We determined through professionals that this could harm our area with 24/7 operation of extracted methane through the burning of a flame, loss of value of our homes by a large amount, the use of excess water for the operation could impact our water supply. The noise level would be unbearable 24 hours a day. Once methane would be extracted, there's a good possibility that our water tables would be reduced, might end up draining our wells. And we as constituents of this area found the whole process very disheartening. So at this time, we were very against this. This is 21 years ago of extracting methane from our neighborhood because of the values I just talked about. Last summer, after 21 years and not hearing a beep, I tossed all my materials away. I figured 21 years later, why would this come up again? Charlie Lee sold most of this property, and I think you heard last time how people feel about Charlie Lee out there. So there's many articles in the Terre Haute Tribune Star that you can find to talk about this. We had professionals, we had geologists, and so here we go again with a different company, Key Rock, and they're not even here today. Is Key Rock here? You're Key Rock? Okay. All right. Just surprised it didn't represent himself. So once again, we as a neighborhood are totally opposed to this project 100% to change the land from wild preserve and agriculture to mining too. When you might ask, below are the same reason as before. Loss of water tables, and many of you may know, you may not. When we expanded the Green Valley mine out there, John Val Park, my water went from perfect for 5 years to sulfur. Nothing but sulfur. I had to buy a $5,000 water system to use my water in my house. Very, very concerning. So I know firsthand how digging a mile away can impact your water wells. Number two, home properties go down. If depleted, that value of the home, there would be zero. It doesn't matter if it's 100,000, 50,000, or 400,000. You won't be able to sell a house without a water well. Noise level, number three, very, very disturbing. 24 hours, 7. They say it's a little hum, and they'll get into decibels and talk about that. But in reality, if you go down and listen to it, there's not anyone in here who want this to be a neighbor of yours. Methane extraction fires are real. It happened on South 41. All you had to do is drive by and you see the big flame coming out of the ground. Last time, do you realize that company was hoping to make $40 million off everyone sitting out here, their gas? Because whoever taps into it can take gas from the other area, from the other landowners. How fair is that? I don't really see that being a democracy. The land is marked agriculture and should remain agriculture. Mining too would destroy everything we have out here, and as people spoke last time, we live out here because the animals, we hunt, we farm, we do all this. So once again, I implore you to turn this project down to all the reasons above, including the neighbors that didn't want it back in 2002. They don't want 2023. Jared Baylor made an erroneous error in recommending a favorable recommendation to lack of knowledge and not talking to the constituents of neighbors. I've talked to Jared more about a homeless person out on my property. I sold him and kicking him out of there than I've ever talked about this. I didn't hear a word about it except word of mouth. But, you know, they've been riding one person for a long time. He's a homeless vet, got a coloscopy. You know, he's really low maintenance because his uncle or nephew complains about him. There's been all kinds of citations. That's for another time. So I guess, once again, please vote no to this recommendation from area planning that say you no recommendation due to lack of members in the meeting. If this project's not good for us, it's not good for Vigo County. So please give this some consideration. We haven't changed our position. I know that Englehart had a good system, but it was still noisy and it wasn't aesthetically pleasing. And I'm sure Key Rock are the same. So thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick.
Larry Mason, 6851 West Concannon Avenue. I can stand in my back door and throw a rock and hit Green Valley Coal Mine. That's where it all started umpteen years ago before we were here. I am one that lost a well. Try to sell a piece of property in that area and you haven't got any water. There's no city water. There's never going to be. We don't have the population to pay for it, and we have to live on those wells. I'm in a horse business and have been for 60 years. They don't survive very well if they don't get a drink. I rely on on all my ponds. There is a creek that runs from the east side or the west side to the east that flows, but we all know it dries up in our area too. Then I'm back to hauling water because this happened. My wife's father bought that place that I live on in 1945. There's never been a water problem until this happened 21 years ago. I've got sinkholes there. I've got pictures of them on my phone, but it's better if you come see these holes that appeared after they took the gas out. They're still there. They're 8-10 foot in diameter. Some of them's got water in them. Some of them just keep sinking down. I've got some out there. I've done probably 3 or 4 80-pound round bales of hay in to keep livestock out of them. The burning off situation, which I also know personally. If you go south of Albany, Illinois, used to you drove down there where the oil wells was, you saw fires all night. Because that's what they were doing, because they was trying to pump the oil out and the gas, they would bring the gas off. You don't see that anymore, and the reason being, it set the crops on fire. Now they let that vacuum out what wells are left, most of them's all gone. Please, keep in mind, we've been out there for generations and we're not going anyplace else. I'm not, but I have to have water. And what I've got left, some things you can use it for, all our drinking water's hauled in and always will be. Please, keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Donna Rader Cooper. I live at 6451 West Concannon Avenue. Some years ago, I'm thinking it was around 30, when they were drilling those pilot wells out on the Green Valley mine. One of those had caught fire. I live adjacent to that area, and it sounds like a 747, 24/7 at your house 100% of the time. It burned for several months before it burned itself out. It's not something I want to live next to again. Like Larry and the rest of them, we are all worried about what's going to happen with our property, what's going to happen with our water, what's going to happen with the environment that we're used to in our area. We came to the country because we wanted the peace, the quiet, the area, the wildlife. What's going to happen to all of that? That's our concerns. Thank you.
is Lori Roberts. I live at 2450 Lower Sanford Road. Good morning. I would like to voice my feelings about this company wanting to come into our backyard. When methane is burned, it creates carbon dioxide. Can this company show any proven facts that no one has suffered from this type of burn? They state there is no more pollutants in the air than what a gas stove produces in your home. Let's think about that for a second. A gas stove is not on in anyone's home for 24/7 for 5 to 10 years. So what is the harm being done? How long does it take for the gas to burn that they burn to refill the veins of the mine? They want to come in and ruin our peaceful lives at the cost of what? I feel the cost would be at the hands of the homeowners, the folks who have lived there for 50 years plus. Who pays for the messed up water? Who pays for the sinkholes? Who pays for possible hearing loss being so close to homes? That's one thing you can't get back from any kind of company is hearing loss. What if the carbon dioxide gets into someone's home? At that point, you can't go outside to get fresh air because that's gone too. What exactly is put in our air from this situation? How much remaining gas will be left when they leave? Or if they are so worried about our environment, why are they asking to stay for at least 5 to 10 years? If it's so bad, why are they not worried about staying here forever to keep it clean? Because that's what they claim. I think it's a double talk that goes back and forth. Who is profiting from this, and how much is coming to each of how much methane or how much gas is coming from each of the properties? What happens when they leave and the federal money runs out? Can they produce any type of haze to the air? We have public fishing areas that are very close. Will this cause any problems with that? What facts do they have? What are the long-term facts on our properties, our lawns? Can we cook outside and have just a normal cookout with family and friends? We have a swimming pool. Do you think we want to sit and listen to the humming 747 while you're sitting out there trying to just relax with your family and friends on the weekends? I don't. You know, our hunting and fishing, they say that the deer lay next to their dozers. Well, if their dozers are in 6-foot fences or 8-foot fences, I don't know any deer that's going to jump in just to lay next to a dozer when it has free reign to run wherever it wants. And then if it's the cell phone towers, the one gentleman stated that he can control the site by a cell phone tower. If anybody goes out there, your cell phone's ping off of Indiana and Illinois. So therefore, you drop calls 24/7 out there all the time. So if you don't have a cell phone and there's a hazard, how is he going to get the call? Because it's not going to register to his phone because the cell phone towers out there are no good for us. Our homes are supposed to be our sanctuaries. We don't want to hear this noise for the next 5 to 10 years. We don't want property values to dwindle. We enjoy our wildlife. If this project is approved, the people of Green Valley will pay the highest cost without making a penny on this project. So if this company is so worried, maybe they should just take it back to California or wherever they come from, because we don't want it in our yard. There's no city water out there for these people. Everybody has to haul water if the water dries up or if the wells go back. That's not fair to them either. This is 50 years plus of these people living out here, and I'm one of them. So thank you, commissioners. We're asking you to hear our voices. We are local people who have lived here for many generations, and we just want you to be sure that you hear what our concerns, and please protect our wildlife, not to mention our lives and our way of living that we choose because we want to live in the country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Levi Edwards. I live at 2600 Low Sanford Road. I can throw a rock and hit where this well is. Okay, I have an infant child that I don't want. For 747, it's loud as another guy stated in the other thing. You got to have hearing protection over 80, and this thing's louder than 80 decibels. What's that going to do to my infant child? What's it going to do to me? I mean, I can, like I said, I can throw rock and hit where this well's going to come to. I don't want that. I want to be able to go outside. I moved it from the city to the country to get peace and quiet, not to listen to some machine 24/7. Okay, I work nights, so during the day I sleep during the day. So I want peace and quiet. I don't want to listen to something that's gonna run constantly. I got sinkholes in my field from last time I drilled, and so I mean, and they'll, like you said, they'll 10 foot wide, and I mean those local farmer here that cut my hayfield, he's sunk a tractor in it. That's how deep they are. So I mean, what was it gonna sink more when they do go to pull this out? I mean, I say you guys vote no. I would not table. I would strongly suggest you guys just say no to it. Vote no on, because we, like we said, we live out there. Okay. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
My name is Bob Curley. I live at 2260 Gannon Road. I am a lifelong resident of Vigo County and Sugar Creek Township. My family has lived on our property since the 1880s. My property is across the road from the proposed methane gas extraction. I'm opposed to this practice for several reasons. Number one, I'm concerned about the safety of the local residents in case of an emergency once the gas is being removed. For instance, if the remote signal is lost and you can't control it from off-site, will it be automatically shut off? Two, it is a fallacy to think that once the methane is extracted, that there will no longer be no more gas. Either the coal underneath will produce more methane, or it will leave pockets that will fill with water. In that case, it could or will affect our water level and quality. Third and most important, we as citizens do not want these methane wells near our property. We worry about the noise, the smell, and the risk to the environment. I have distributed papers that show how the Area Planning Committee voted on this issue. I strongly urge all present here, regardless of their political preference, to support the 3 members who voted no. They were James Chrisman, Mark Klinkenbeard, and Don Falk. As my cousin Tim Curley said when he was on the Vigo County Council, every citizen can voice their opinion on how the government is run, and that is by voting for the candidate regardless of their political party who best represents you, the voters. I am asking you 3 to vote no. I assure you that we, the voters of Sugar Creek, will take notice. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any other comment? Please.
Good morning. My name is Eric Emmerich. I live at 4400 West Concannon Avenue. I have 27 years experience with wells in this mine. I have 2 wells of my own property that lie on the far eastern side of the mined out Green Valley area. I was there working with a company in 1996 when the first wells were put in, and then again in 2008 when another company came in and put additional wells. 2 weeks ago today, there were 2 gentlemen here representing this company that were trying to make us believe that they were doing us a favor by eliminating or reducing the methane gas. Truth be known, they know, I know, that is impossible. Unless you're able to go down 505 feet below the surface and remove the coal that is remaining, that coal will still be generating the methane gas. So when they're gone, give them 30 days, we'll be looking at the same mine pressure that we are right now. On top of that, the 2 wells that I have on my property for the past 13 years, I have used to heat my home, what was my father's home, and also to run my business, which is a lumber kiln. So this company comes in and says they want to deplete the mine of gas. First of all, I don't think they can do it. I have experience that makes me believe that they cannot do it. And secondly, if they do, it's kind of obvious what it does to my business. I ask that all of you vote no on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Robbins, Vigo County Engineer, and Green Valley area resident. I would echo the concerns of my neighbors in the area. We do have concerns about the water table in there. Several of them have wells that could be affected by this. Property value concerns as well are something that's troubling. And even more troubling, I find that it is concerning that a company could come in here and do this and utilize methane in our area to burn off for credits to be sold in another state and just do that in our backyard versus their backyard. If they have an issue, I would have advised them to do that in their backyard and not use our backyard to satisfy their credits for that thing. So again, I would echo my neighbors' concerns that I think they've elaborated enough on some of those concerns that they have, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. More comment, please. Okay.
Could I say something, Mr. President?
Certainly.
I just want to thank you all for coming. I can assure you that we're taking this very seriously. As most of you know, I am on the area planning board, and so I know quite a bit about this, but I think there's more to know. That's why we asked for this to be tabled. We've also asked for a community meeting so that they can answer any and all questions, maybe in a more relaxed atmosphere, and give you all as much time as possible. So I believe they are working on that. So that's, I think, is where we go from here. Is I believe we're asking for both of these to be tabled.
You make that motion?
I would make a motion that we table both of these requests at this time.
I'll second that motion, which means the next meeting that we would take action on this would be June 20th, Tuesday, June 20th, the third commissioner meeting of the month.
Okay. All right. All those in my eye? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Yes, certainly. Mr. Argus, you're here.
Would it be possible to establish some form of direct communication with the residents in the area, rather than for us to try and figure out when and where this community meeting is going to be held?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll work with Key Rock and Mr. Shagley on coming up with a date, and then we can put that information on our website, or of course we'll let Tony and Tribune Star and local media know. Mr. Hargis, I have your email address, so if it's okay, I can let you know.
Question, Mr. Mason?
What are you saying, the 23rd, that decision will be made then, or there will be another discussion at that time?
What I'm saying is the meeting will be on the 20th.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the 20th, which is our third commissioner meeting of the month. But on the 20th, we'll probably have the same discussion. Hopefully all of your answers or questions can be answered by Key Rock with your public meeting. But if there's further discussion on the 20th, we can certainly have that as well. Yes, ma'am. It'll be a public meeting. Depending on where Key Rock wants to have their meeting, we'd be happy to have it here, facilitate it here.
And somebody said earlier they wanted us to be there. I can assure you I'll be there, and I imagine the other two will also.
All right.
What else we got, Jerry?
Yes, one other item, that was docket number 28, it was resolution 123 for us. There is documents related to that item in your packets, and rather than myself or somebody in my office write up an extended summation of the contents of the Senate Bills 411 and 390, I'll defer to the email I received from Connor Wong, who is the Indiana State Senate Legislative Assistant to Mr. Ford. I reached out to Senator Ford's office, and Mr. Wong was kind enough to respond to our inquiry with a much more eloquent explanation than what I would have penned for you. So Mr. Wong writes, during the 2022 legislative session, the Indiana General Assembly passed Senate Enrolled Act 411, which created voluntary, consistent statewide commercial solar and wind energy standards. If a county chooses to adopt either or both of these solar and wind energy standards, the local unit, which is the local government, would then be declared a solar energy ready community and or a wind energy ready community. This session, the General Assembly passed Senate Enrolled Act 390, which is a follow-up to SEA, Senate Enrolled Act 411. The legislation, if signed by the governor, would go into effect on July 1. SEA 390 seeks to incentivize implementation of the voluntary, consistent statewide solar and wind energy standards for Indiana's counties through the use of state incentive grants. Those counties that adopt the standards would receive $1 for every megawatt hour of energy generated by the projects every year for a decade. The state grant funds would be paid for without using state taxpayer dollars. SEA 390 then goes on to create the Indiana Office of Energy Development, which establishes the Solar and Wind Energy Ready Community Development Center. And the center then provides comprehensive, easily accessible information concerning permits required for solar and wind power projects and work with permit authorities concerning those projects. The center would also be required to create and administer the program to certify counties and municipalities as commercial solar and energy-ready communities. The two different, Senate Enrolled Act 411 focuses around, for solar, setbacks, height limitations, and buffers, ground cover, fencing, underground cables, and above-ground infrastructure, glare minimization, signal interference, sound level limitations, drainage repair, and decommissioning, abandonment, and then a force majeure event. On the wind side, it deals with setbacks and height limitations, shadow flicker mitigation, signal interference, sound level limitations, light mitigation technology, drainage repair, and decommissioning. Because of the nature of it being very legal, I wanted to seek additional outside input, so I sought a consultation with our attorney, Mr. Etling, and reached out to him, and he responded, pursuant to your email, I have reviewed Senate Bill 411 pertaining to commercial solar and wind energy. I understand that there are policy reasons that people may be in favor of adopting the standards passed in Senate Bill 411 and codified in Indiana Code 8141 and 8142 regarding the wind power devices and solar energy systems. The reason that the aforementioned standards are voluntary is so that each community can weigh these policy reasons and determine the impact it will have on the community. This is why typically ordinances are set at the county level rather than at the state level. The focus of my, referring to Mr. Etling, his review is less on the policy reasons to adopt the standards and are more focused on the current standards and impacts the standards set forth in IC 8141 and IC 8142 would have on the current ordinances in Vigo County. He continues with, I would advise the Commission that there are currently no solar or wind-specific regulations in Vigo County zoning ordinance. In order to receive the benefits recently passed in Senate Bill 390 and to be deemed a wind energy-ready community and a solar energy-ready community, a county must adopt the standards as set forth in IC 8141 and 8142, or standards that are less restrictive than the ones set forth. There are no current restrictions or ordinances in place in Vigo County that would preclude the Commission from adopting the standards as set forth in 8141 and 8142. If the Commission weighs the policy reasons and believes that it is in the best interest of the citizens of Vigo County to adopt the standards. Staff offered a favorable recommendation, and if I recall correctly, the Area Plan Commission also forwarded a favorable recommendation.
Okay, this bill was just passed in this session. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, and it offers up incentives paid for by the state if we adopt it. At this time, I don't want to take any action on it. I don't think we've had time to review the different things. We do have some background in solar farms in Vigo County at this point in time. As one commissioner, I'm not totally satisfied with how those outcomes have come about. So I want to be very careful about this. At least this would get us, get the taxpayers of Vigo County some revenue income. But this time, I'd rather not adopt this. So do we want to table this, or do we want to?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that every rural community across the state has a solar company knocking on their door, wanting a solar farm. So what we have done in the past is work with Rick Hall from Barnes and Thornburg. I think that it would be important for maybe Terry to work with Rick and get an opinion about this, while also talking about, you know, the future of solar projects in Vigo County and what that might look like. So I'll make a motion to table until June 20th.
Second.
All by aye?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Director, we have two other resolutions here. Do we need to take action on this Pfizer's Drive renaming?
No, Area Plan Commission handles road name changes.
Okay, all right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All by aye?
Aye.
Thank you all for attending.